Hey guys, Mike with Become the Night. I'm joined today by my friend and fellow bandmate in Crusade, Jesse Peck, who is also a badass musician. So after watching Adam Neely's video on musical IQ and that test that was developed by, what was it, Harvard's Cognitive Science Department or something like that? Something close, just close to that. I thought, you know what? I want to take this test by myself, but I also want to get my buddy Jesse involved for a few reasons. One, I actually watched the entire video and I watched all of the test questions / answers. And even though it was a while ago, I want to try and keep it a little bit more objective with someone who hasn't taken it yet. And two, Jesse's an amazing musician and just has an awesome insight into the philosophical side of music. So I think that his input here would be very valuable. We're gonna both take this test, and Jesse is gonna be doing it via the laptop, and I will be writing my answers down on this piece of paper right here so we can keep track of both of us.
Do we need to peruse this?
Yeah, may as well. This experiment is being conducted by, yeah, fuck all that. Specifically in this research, we're investigating how people make sense of music they hear. I don't even know if that's accurate based upon what I know about this test. All right, let's get started.
Cool, let's do it. Think about how you feel while you listen to music. In general, how much do you enjoy it? It's just a slider.
Slide it over. I don't enjoy music very much.
I hate music.
No. Fucking hate music.
I mean, honestly, like,
all of my critics would say that that's the case. Pretty much orgasmic. That's what I'm writing down.
That should be an option on this test. Take notes, Harvard.
Oh hey, I didn't see you there. It's Future Mike, and I have some news.
It's a red. He's a shadow. He's a runner. All of these YouTubers advertise Raid Shadow Legends. Nobody ever actually plays the game.
I do. There's my screen name, right there. Level 17 player. I actually enjoy this game. I think it's fun. And frankly, I think you will too. Raid Shadow Legends, again, is obviously a mobile RPG. Also available on PC. Just got this new champion the other day. His name is Romero. He basically looks like Prince Charming from Shrek 2. Here's my beautiful Dombe Vala, again. Always a sub to you, baby. As you can see, my party is a hell of a lot stronger than they used to be. Thank God, I was getting my ass kicked for a while. You can do like a tavern thing and go sacrifice bitches to level up your peeps. You can battle in an arena against people or do like clan things. Personally, I just like going and raiding shit. I prefer doing the dungeons and campaign mode. They just started Battle Pass. Season 1 is already here. You can get free energy refills, gems, upgraded artifact sets, just by fulfilling some daily and weekly challenges. If you want to join me on Raid Shadow Legends, click the link in the description, specifically my link. And for the next 30 days, you can get 100,000 silver for free and an epic champion. What the hell is it called? And you will get 100,000 silver. Yes, 100,000 silver. And a free epic champion called Hex Weaver. Just click on your inbox in-game and find the rewards there. All right, past Mike, back to it.
Okay, first
God damn it!
we'll play you a calibration tone. Listen to the tone and turn up the volume on your device until the calibration tone is at a loud but comfortable level. Press any key to continue.
Word. I love it!
This test is about hearing melodies. So for each question on this test, you'll hear the same tune 3 times. Each time it will be in a different key. The notes will be changed in one of them.
Yeah, man, now that I'm actually like on camera doing this with like people around, it's very different than me just being like, oh yeah, like this one, like with my headphones on by myself.
Oh yeah, it's also like kind of quiet.
Yes.
So this is gonna be interesting.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh hey, I didn't see you there. It's Future Mike, and Future Mike is saying some of this might be boring to some people. So the first test for music nerds will most likely actually be interesting still, so you can just watch that. If you're not as much of a music nerd, skip to this time code to more entertaining portions of the test. Skip to this time code if you're Adam Neely and you don't give a shit about how we scored on this test but want to hear what we have to say about your video.
All right, so
Okay.
I guess we're gonna agree with numero uno.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that was 3. I wasn't paying close attention.
I was gonna say 1 again. Gonna assume it's
Yeah.
1 because I didn't hear
Hear the first one,
Sorry,
but the
I'll shut
second
up.
two sounded
I'll
the
shut up
same,
next
so-
time. Two. 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 Oh, 1. Word. I said 2. Obviously, 3. Two. I'm thinking 1.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm saying 2.
I feel like it was 3.
I'm gonna guess 1.
I'm pretty sure that was 1.
I didn't pay as much attention to 1. The other 2 sounded the same.
Yeah. All right. That's the first test. So we
All
want
right.
to break that one down. Most of the melodies I felt like were pretty, I guess, common things you would hear in Western music for the most part. It was mostly testing intervals. You know, you'll hear like
Definitely.
back and forth between thirds or
Pretty-
seconds.
And pretty diatonic in nature.
Yep, pretty much all diatonic. And if it wasn't, that was usually the one that was the odd one out.
Yeah, where like I remember the one specifically it changed modes partway through. It was like,
Right.
oh, that's
and
easy.
then the other ones didn't, and that's a pretty clear giveaway.
Yeah.
I think that is something that's that's probably something that's universal to anybody. I feel like most people that listen to music, you know, whether they listen to Western music or not Western music, are used to like the idea of listening to a piece of music that's either all in one mode or that if it changes mode, it does so in like an organized way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this was just melodies, and it was, you know, the odd one out was changing kind of like during it. And I think that is probably detectable to most people.
Some people have better melodic cognition and melodic memory than others. So I will say that, especially like when we were getting caught in between like, shit, what was that original one? You know, like,
Right,
and that had less to do with me being like remembering exactly what each note was and the intervals were from the last one, and just realizing, oh, this one's different, or like not being sure, but like some of them were like really clearly different, even though you didn't remember exactly what the melody was.
That's the other thing I was thinking, is that some people might be able to have a higher IQ or do better on this test just by by virtue of having better melodic memory, which is something that you can kind of train and develop. And it's usually based on, you know, studying of patterns, which there were a lot of patterns in it.
For sure.
Definitely the ones that I missed were ones where I either didn't hear one or like
Yeah.
kind of drifted.
Yeah, oh,
But,
for sure. That ADHD was starting to kick in pretty hard for me. My one complaint, Harvard. Every single one of the rhythms between each of the examples was exactly the same. You could have used the exact same intervallic relationships but changed the rhythm, and I think you would still accomplish what you're looking for, especially definitionally of what comprises a melody. Rhythm is so important when it comes to
Rhythm is part of melody. I wonder if they did that, because one of these tests pertains to beat, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if they did that in an attempt to isolate it, but I agree. I think that
Maybe.
the actual phrasing of it is part of it, so
Damn it!
the phrasing of it is a key part of it. So I do agree that, it's not necessarily maybe something you have to isolate.
If they made it specifically intervallic memory as opposed to melodic memory, I distinguish those two pretty strongly.
Right,
personally.
it did feel like an interval training kind of thing. It felt very interval based, which is a big part of melody for sure, but
Oh yeah, very much so.
it's not the whole thing. So maybe they should have clarified that. While we're throwing things in, one other thing I did remember for test one, as far as recognizing the odd one out, I noticed that they specify that you're going to hear this melody in three, they're going to be in different tunes.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same tunings every time. As far as I remember, it was just going up chromatically or going up a whole step. I'm pretty sure it was the same every time. That might be something that should change. All right, so on to test number 2. So this is about hearing tuning.
Yes. And for the record, based upon the examples that we just did, I'm pretty sure they will have different examples for each time you take the test. I have no recognition or remembering of any of the other melodies that we listened to so far. If I remember, that wasn't the first part of the quiz when he took it. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to get closer to the laptop on this one.
It's pretty quiet, which is not Harvard's issue with their website. It's on our end.
We're the plebs.
Let's practice.
Let's not practice and say we did.
So goodbye to Bolero, my sentimental friend. I don't know when I will drop the needle on you again.
Sounds beautiful. Sounds awful.
So goodbye to Bolero, my sentimental
Alright, my guess is 1 was more out of tune.
I don't know when
Just
I will
instantly.
drop the needle on you again.
Drop the needle on you again. Fucking suck my dick. Get your pansy ass bullshit out of here. You know what's really funny about here? You know what's hilarious about that? The more out of tune example is more genre accurate.
Right.
And that's what I
both
fucking hate about that stupid fucking genre is you people can't sing in fucking tune.
I mean, the first one, I think it's the first one is what they're wanting you to say, but they both sounded pretty natural to me. Okay, so there's the second one. They both sounded pretty natural to me, honestly. Are you ready to continue?
Fucking yeah, do
Let's
it.
actually do the test.
Like many men, I can
I already know which one it is.
Like many men, I can
Doesn't sound much better.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But
Doesn't fucking Bob Dylan Jr.
but the first one was definitely
Easily, yeah.
I could fly through the sky on the open sea.
Fuck this guy.
I could fly through the sky on the open
I don't remember being this easy with Adams. Yeah, that's obvious too.
That's funny though. It's kind of fun actually.
It's hilarious.
I get a odd sense of satisfaction out of hearing things that are just like that.
Let's do it. Syriac. I wish it was louder.
One's a little flat, one's a little sharp.
The first one was like barely flat, but how much more sharp was the second one?
I know your voice.
Fuck this guy.
I hear it from the depths of the void.
Should probably learn to.
I know your voice. I hear it from the depths of the void.
That sounded a lot more on the nose to me.
Yeah, okay. And people wonder why I get so fucking anal when I'm like, he's not singing in fucking tunes, because I can hear that shit really well. And it bugs the fuck out of me having those dissonances and the overtones when they hit is the most irritating thing ever. Continue, please.
My favorite part is how much it irritates you, how much you want to start interjecting in between the examples. Because you're like, and then you have to like stop and listen.
Yeah, okay.
Makes my day.
Almost as much as you find it quirky and funny, my pain and anguish is equally as hilarious.
Yes, I enjoy the dystopian sounds.
I'm gonna go off on a limb and say this is 1. Knew it. And this is super fucking quiet. We can barely hear it.
Yeah, we're like,
Again, genre accurate.
I think, yeah, the first one was genre accurate and this is the flat one. They were both flat.
Okay, I might have to go 2 on that one,
Yeah,
surprisingly
I think
so.
it's-
Stay as long as you like. It's a sad vocation.
It's not exactly on, but it's pretty close.
Stay as long as you like. It's a sad vocation.
That is tough.
I think it's the first one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably the first one.
Everybody sing. This is the reggae dream. This is unfair. Got no work until tomorrow. This is the reggae dream. Oh,
Is that testing our...
everybody sing. This is the reggae dream. Got no work until tomorrow. This is the reggae dream.
I'm gonna say 1 was the more out of tune one, but what harmonic information were we given for context?
Well, there may have been bass that we can't hear.
Okay.
These.
Okay, there may have been bass or other things that we couldn't hear. All I heard was percussion and this guy singing whatever the fuck he was singing.
Yeah, so it could be one of two things. Either there was either bass information that we couldn't hear, or it's possible that they're trying to test maybe the ability for you to recognize relative to 440.
Possibly. I doubt it's the 440, but okay. I'm saying 1 is more out of tune.
I'm gonna say 2, because why not? Yep.
Okay.
Somebody, man of my word, despite what you might have heard about me.
If it's not that one.
Yes, I'm a man of my word.
Okay, yeah, this is fucking first one. Oh my god, we have 6 more of these to go.
My favorite is when it's like, oh, that's bad, and then the next one's worse. That's what...
Right.
Okay, so it was definitely that.
Yeah.
Come back out to hold on.
Genre.
I'm gonna say it's 1, but who knows?
Come back out
Yeah, it's 1, yeah.
to hold on.
I actually prefer 1 a little bit.
I know.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that sounds way better.
Yeah, right? I'm leaning towards 1 on that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa, we missed one. Okay.
I haven't got the inclination, and you're wasting all my time.
A little flat.
I haven't got the inclination, attention, and you're wasting all my time.
Definitely one. I got one wrong so far. I'm actually disappointed in myself. All right, let's do it.
I love my husband, Kleinborn Park Star. He takes me driving and then leaves me in the car. What the fuck lyrics? I love my husband, Kleinborn Park Star.
2.
He takes me driving and then leaves me in the car.
Man, this classic lyrics. I love my husband. He leaves me in the car.
You and I, it seemed, were moving with a dream,
It's kind of nice.
catching stars above.
It's not right on pitch. All right, so I think we each missed one on that one.
Yep.
Let's go over that one. Your examples are fucking horrendous. They are painful to me. At least I can laugh at some of your singing performances. Thanks.
I enjoyed it. Some people, you know, train their ear like you have, like I have.
To hone in, quote unquote, into.
Right, this is in tune relative to this, whatever. But, you know, people who don't take time to do that, all that they have to go off of to, like, recognize that is what they listen to, and there's so much, like we were talking about, genre appropriate, distuned things.
I don't know if that's necessary. Like, I'm not fully disagreeing with your premise, because I know what you're going for here. You're going based upon, like, what someone is attuned to listening to, what's more, like, familiar or natural to them. But there is something about overtone dissonance that happens when you're slightly out of tune.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where I'm on the fence about it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as to use it as a parameter in determining musical intelligence, I think it makes sense because I think that somebody who takes the extra time to like, study and learn it and develop that skill should have a higher ability to perceive it. So,
For sure.
one more test.
Uno mas, por favor. Beat detective.
Beat detector. There's a beep track with music. Some examples, the beeps are on the beat. Others, they're not on the beat.
This was more difficult than I anticipated it being for me, though not like I wasn't like awful at it, but there was definitely some like, oh.
So it's just like, well, which one's the closest?
I'll give you a heads up, sometimes they might both be slightly off,
Right.
which is...
And you have to see which one is most on the beat. So this is going to be interesting, actually. I'm kind of curious. I feel like I'm probably not going to do very good at this one. That's just a hunch. But we'll see.
This is gonna be more difficult because it is easier to hear that beep real fucking loud than it is the rest of the music, just at least for some of these examples.
Right, yeah, this is going to be the same thing. I don't know if we went over this when we went over the last test. It's going to be the same thing where it's hard to tell on these speakers a little bit, too. Like, we don't have the best audio situation right now.
That, again, that's on us. I'm gonna say 1.
Yeah.
2 felt like it was pushing. One again.
So that one, the second one was on 2 and 4. The first one was on
1 and 3.
They're both on a beat.
Yeah.
Neither one is on the beat, but I mean the second one is on the off beats as opposed to the ands. Or like, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna assume they're looking for the second one.
I think so.
Okay.
Because
That's irritating if that's...
yeah, but we'll talk
Alright, yeah.
about it.
We'll see how we feel. Okay, cool. A little rushed. I'd say second one's
Yeah.
more on beat. Okay.
Yeah, because I was listening to the hi-hat.
Yeah.
It sounded more natural on the second one. No?
Fuck you! That's behind. Second one's gonna be closer. gonna say second one. I'm gonna say
one's hard.
I'm gonna say it's the second one. One, it's really quiet. Two, you have the building of the sound envelope of strings like that,
Right,
the
yeah.
swells. I'm still gonna
The
think.
second one feels more natural, but it also sounds like it could be pushing a little bit. But that could be.
Oh, I
again,
thought the first one was pushing, personally.
But I think it is the second one.
Okay. First one, I think. I'm gonna say
They're
first
both
one.
definitely off, but the first one was closer.
First one was a little bit more like pool pocket. That's tough. I want to say second, but I'm not sure. What's your instinct?
I wish I could hear him again. My
Yeah, right.
instinct. Okay, so there were a couple spots where the hi-hat was definitely behind on the second one, but that could just be like a natural playing behind the beat thing.
Yeah. But I mean, the first one.
First one sounded more on to me.
It felt more off to me, but I think it's because I was paying too much attention to the guitar, and the guitar had a natural pull and push.
Right, exactly. The guitar is going to fluctuate more.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna say second. You pick whatever you want to say.
it probably is, but I'm going to pick first.
Oh, you were right. I'm gonna say first one.
I think that was more testing your ability to recognize the faster rhythms in the melody there.
Didn't we already do this one? I'm gonna say the first one, yeah.
I think that was the same musical example, but I don't think the beeps were the same as the last time we had it.
That's fair. Feels pretty on. I'm gonna say two.
They both felt pretty on.
I feel like the first one. Fucking really?
There wasn't a lot of rhythmic information in that
Yeah.
example. That was not probably a good example. I think second.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards second too. First one. I'm calling bullshit on a handful of these. When I go back through and edit this, I'm gonna.
We were wrong on that one.
I'll definitely call them bullshit on some of these. Fucking Harvard.
You know what it could be? I wonder if they. I mean, I don't want to think that they would do this. I think they'd be smart in this. But I wonder if they took like a, an orchestral audio track or whatever, put it in like, I don't know, whatever
You're
DAW.
talking about quantize it and like wind it up exactly to the grid.
Yeah, so like they either did that or they got the tempo of it for that part, whatever, and they put it with it, and then they dragged around the click track. They put one a little bit ahead, which is the one we picked, and that lined up with where like because everything kind of has less attack when you're hearing like a live orchestra.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Either way, fuck you, Harvard. So that is it for the whole thingamajig. Let's look at your specific IQ, which
It's not going to be good.
agreed.
We estimated your score in the same way as a real IQ test would, based on other people who've taken it, just a little above average, basically. My understanding of like a regular IQ test, I mean like kind of the standard, not music one, is that the time you take to answer each one, I think, factors in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's a factor on this one. I think it is though, and we kind of
It could be. Yeah, we've been fucking
and talk because that was the
talking
only
shit.
time that we could actually stop the test was if by not answering the question.
Yeah.
So that may have skewed the results if that was a factor. But I'm not sure if it was.
That's fair.
Oh, shocker! We were both the strongest in the
Misleading.
the weakest in the beat alignment, but there were some weird examples in there. I agree.
Yeah, I got some beef with Harvard on that one. I mean, mine would be lower than yours technically, but I know for sure I have better than average fucking beat detection. I know without a doubt. Steve can tell you.
We think that performance on a test like this might accurately predict people's ability to play a musical instrument or sing. People who are very skilled musicians, we just like turn into like a.
Let's do it. Let's do it. People who are very skilled musicians.
might be more skilled at being.
I lost
able
track.
to-
So we just rewatched Adam Neely's analysis of the test, and do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Take it away.
Okay. So my first issue with his issue of the test, he says specifically that they're very narrow standards by which to judge musical intelligence. I think that him calling the Western style of music as a standard is a misnomer. I think it is a method by which to determine someone's able to perceive the actual physical realities that are being transmitted through air. The actual vibrations that are being transmitted through air, how you perceive those and how you process those. Let's say something's in or out of tune. Like we were even saying with the genre stuff, the stuff that's slightly out of tune may be literally not at the frequency fundamentally that it should be in conjunction with the rest of the music happening, but that may be correct, is to sing it slightly out of tune. I think the point of this is, can you discriminate between melody? Can you discriminate between two different tunings? Can you discriminate between beats? Which I think that's just a human thing that has nothing to do with culture, the ability to discriminate those things. How you apply them, that's where you could say, okay, this test is not comprehensive in any way, shape, or form. I think they did as good as they could do to start, and I don't think they're making any claims that it's comprehensive. Not only that, but if you think about how prevalent Western music is throughout the world, most people who do subscribe to these more traditional or non-Western styles of music most likely are exposed to it and get a gist of it. I could be overstretching there, but based upon what I've observed of the more popular foreign country genres, a lot of them are basically adaptations of Western style theory with more regional timbres and performances. That's a lot of what I see from popular music in different countries. Your thoughts?
I might be somewhere between what you're saying and what Adam's saying, because I think I agree with Adam's point of it being narrow. Like, it does only really pertain to Western music in the sense that all the examples are Western music.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when he says narrow, like, you can't say, oh no, it has everything, because it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you said, it's not comprehensive, and I agree with that. I think you and Adam are on the same page there.
Most
I think
likely.
the discrepancy may be that, well, let's flip it around. What if all the examples were like
Or non-Western.
Indian? Yeah, what if all the examples were like Indian music, and then, we had, people who grew up taking that basically a similar test. It would probably be very similar results, but then if you had all Western people taking it, wouldn't do very well on it. So I think that's what Adam's getting at, is that...
And to be fair, that we know.
Right, yeah.
That
I mean,
we
we would have to... that's science, right? We have to test it.
Yeah.
But, I think that's what Adam's getting at, is that it is, it's a specific kind of music that's being tested. But I agree with you that it is a framework, it is a method of determining, three specific things, in this case, melody, tuning, and beat.
So, something that is an objective human experience outside of culture.
Yes. So, yeah, so that might be where the discrepancy is. The test only uses one of multiple different frameworks
Yes.
that exist to test the parameters that are more universal. Everybody should be able to discriminate, melodic differences.
Well, let's even say like between 440 and 432.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter what culture you're in. If you just play those two tones back to back, you can tell that they're different, and you should be able to tell which one is sharper or flatter.
Right. So the parameters that are being tested are fairly universal, but the scope of the actual test through the examples might be a little bit narrow or limited.
I would agree to that.
So that's kind of, I think, the common ground between what you're saying and what Adam's saying. Maybe the solution to that, to make the test a little bit less narrow, is to include a broader set of examples. So, maybe you have some Western music and some more Eastern music.
One of the reasons why it is, I think, quote unquote narrow, is because they wanted to present it to as general of an audience as they could, which I think Western music probably has the biggest reach out of any of the other musical traditions. Let's be honest, this is going to be mostly Americans or Europeans who are going to be taking this anyway. That's not to bag on any other culture or country or race or anything like that, no, not by any means. But I think it might be a practicality thing that they did that.
Could be.
Maybe even a different way of approaching it would be making one designed specifically for these other traditions of music.
Sure. Now, the challenge there would be, well, how do you compare these two tests that are different and say that they give you the same equivalent result?
Yeah.
In two different cultures.
Yeah, that's a
hard
good
to
point.
say. It's interesting stuff. Maybe there's different ways to test these, and maybe there's different parameters than these three parameters that we could say define somebody's musical intelligence.
Oh yeah, there's a few more points that this thing is missing that I think is important, at least to modern musical standards and possibly even classical, depending. One is soundstage. So like your one ear is messed up. Trying to test your ability to tell the difference between soundstage would be next to impossible.
Right.
You know what I mean? And or even like they were saying, we think that this could test someone's aptitude to be able to play a musical instrument. Being able to perceive musically, it's only one part of the game that is being able to play a musical instrument. I have higher than average musical IQ, but I wouldn't say that my motor skills and my muscle memory and my physical cognition are up to the level of even remotely fucking close to John Petrucci. That's a big part of being able to play an instrument too, is the actual physical aspect to it. So
let's revisit this statement, because this was something that Adam also talked about in his video that he kind of took up qualms with. So the second part of it says, people who are very skilled musicians might be more skilled at being able to tell how the tunes are different from one another. So it's basically saying people that have higher aptitude on an instrument should do better on this test. I mean, I haven't seen the whole sample of results, but I feel like people who play instruments probably do better on this.
I imagine so.
Their claim kind of makes sense because people that have spent the time to play the instrument, get it under their fingers, and visualize it are going to have more parts of their brain actively processing these examples. The more you listen to and analyze music, the more of your brain engages with it when you hear it. I think there is evidence that somebody who's already skilled at an instrument will probably do well on this, and maybe the reasoning is, well, if they have a natural aptitude for it, then they're maybe a better fit to be studying it. Maybe that's
Possibly.
like the application for it.
I actually find this pretty interesting. It definitely measures something, for sure. And I think something that's not just like completely needs to be written off. But I mean, I also could definitely use some improvements as well. So anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Jesse, thank you so much for joining me today, brother.
For sure.
Freaking in. You can find Jesse's links down below. It'll be Instagram, Flummox, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can check out our band Crusade. Links to our social media will be down there below. If you like this video, if you like what I do, and this is the awkward part where you're just gonna sit here and just pretend like you give a fuck about anything I'm about to say. If you like this video, if you like what I do in this channel, leave a comment, leave a like, share it around, helps the channel a lot. Support me on Subscribestar to help me keep making badass videos for you. And you can follow me at Become the Night on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. See you in the next video. Rock on. You're not gonna do it? You're the band.